about Podcasters Kit 2020, and we have a special guest here today. So, I just wanted to give you a quick introduction into what Podcasters Kit is, why I am so excited about it, and my special guest today. So, first of all, I am Crystal Profit. If you are brand new to me, I teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their podcast. And I'm going to encourage you wherever you're watching this, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us where you're watching from, that would be awesome. But Podcasters Kit 2020 is the second year that it's been offered, and I'm super excited about this program. It's a great way for you to start your podcast, grow your podcast, or even scale and monetize. There's literally something for everybody in this program. But today, I'm really excited because I have one of the co-founders of Podcasters Kit here with me today. So Dan Morris is here. If you're ready to go, Dan, give me a thumbs up. All right, he's ready to go. So I'm going to bring him on and we're going to get started. Hey, Dan, how are you? Oh, hang on one second. I can't hear you. There we go. It's always got to be something, right? You can hear me fine? I think it's me. I always got to mess something up, right? This is the beauty of the life.
I bet you it's me.
There we go. I can hear you now.
Yes.
Oh.
I
Well, how are
didn't
you
know.
today?
I didn't know that there was a unmute button.
Yeah. I didn't know that normally normally it's not muted. But anyway, we are here together. So, Dan, how are you today?
I'm always good. Yourself?
Awesome. So you are just outside of Nashville. You're somewhere in Tennessee. Where are you again?
I am in Nashville. I am just outside of Nashville, but if you're listening from China, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I'm in Nashville.
Right. It's close enough. It's close
Yeah.
enough. Well, Dan, I just want to get right into it and let's just start talking about what it is that you do in your business and how is it that you got in the how did you come up with the idea for Podcasters Kit? Just tell us all the things.
All the things.
All the things.
All right. Well, grab yourself a cup of coffee. This could be a while. So, Rachel and I have been in this space for 10 years now. We've been doing blogging, digital marketing, podcasting type stuff for a while. Rachel, my wife, she runs findingjoy.net, and that's a motherhood blog that gets, 50,000 visitors a day or something. It's a big site. And she's got a ton of fans on Facebook, and she did the Today Show circuit and got a book deal and, all that stuff. So we've had all these different journeys. And then for a while, I think for about 3 years, the two of us did 8-hour workshops around the world where we taught bloggers, vloggers, and podcasters how to turn their craft into a career. So we traveled, I think we did 115 workshops all over the place, and went through that process, the process of reaching out, even New Zealand. Like, how do you fill? We did 7-city tour in New Zealand. Like, how do you fill 7 rooms, all the way across the globe? And then before that, I was in the infomercial space. So I spent a lot of time making TV infomercials, TV and radio long form infomercials. So between the two of us, we've covered quite a bit of territory in the digital marketing space. And then podcasts, I guess they've been around for a while, but in 2014, we started our own that's called Amplify Today. And we did that for 3 years, I think like 300 some episodes of our podcast, and it was going really well. And I actually stopped it. I think she's always wanted to keep it going. But I got to the point where I didn't, Amplify Today was a tech news podcast. So we talked all about the new plugins, the new websites, the new apps, what Facebook was doing, all the hot things in tech or social media, that realm. Well, I got to a point 3 years in where I lost sight of how to market it because I don't know do you remember Ello? Do you remember that site?
What was that one about?
So Ello was a Facebook competitor about
Oh,
3 years ago where they shared the ad revenue with the people on the platform. So for a short period of time, everybody was talking about Ello. Everybody got an account, and then it went away. So we have a couple episodes about Ello. So here I am, a couple of years after that, thinking, all right, how do we market? How do we market a podcast that's talking about things that are no longer relevant?
right.
Like the Yo app, it's gone. Ello, it's gone. I got all these things. They came and they go. And I decided, all right, we got to start talking to podcasters and figure out how do we do this? And that's sort of the time when the idea of Podcasters Kit came up because we'd been traveling the world and it became obvious to me in New Zealand when there were some people in the room who didn't know who Gary Vaynerchuk was. And it became obvious to me that Facebook was not the great equalizer. Like you could be in Facebook groups, but you could still be in New Zealand and not know who some of like the main players are in our world here.
Right.
So we started thinking, all right, how do I figure out how to do better at podcast marketing? And at the same time, how do we put together something where we can introduce all the people that we know here to the experts that we met abroad and then vice versa? So at first we came up with a program called BC Stack, which is in its 7th year now. And we do that in every July. And then we got, a couple years into that and decided to add, a few years into that, decided to add Podcasters Kit because as I was saying, I was specifically trying to figure out how do I market this better?
Right.
And so we started talking to podcasters and I thought, you know what, we're going to do a BC Stack type product, which is kind of like a bundle where we take a product from like 40 different experts in the podcasting space and we put them all into one package. And for the buyer, for the person who gets Podcasters Kit, you literally get 41 like full courses, like how to market your podcast, how to grow your podcast, how to launch it. There's even I think in this year there's 2 different courses on like perfecting your voice. How do you do better, speaking, enunciating, getting your point across. So, like how do you change the words around so that your sentences become more meaningful, more impactful? There's all kinds of things that have to do with podcasting. And then the idea then is that the contributors, the people who give us these products for free, they get a new audience because that's kind of like the problem is that, you're in these Facebook groups and you hear the same questions and the same answers over and over and over. And you don't really get new information from far away, like totally new concepts. So now if you buy Podcasters Kit, you get people from all over the world, their ideas about how this works where they are. And you can make that work for you. I mean, you can let those ideas totally inspire the way that you do it. And then the contributors, they get a new audience. Like they also get a chance to talk about the things that they do. And they get to learn from the audience itself with the questions that people ask them, the feedback that they get on their products. So for us, it's a win-win. And then there's a third component, a win-win-win, and that is we have affiliates from all over the world who help promote Podcasters Kit and BC Stack, and they actually make the money. Like people buy Podcasters Kit, but the money goes to the affiliates because that's how they feed their families. They're affiliate marketers. So it's kind of like everybody wins. You, a buyer, get 40, and this time 41 new products, and then you, the contributor, get a brand new audience. And then you, the affiliate, get to make some money. So for us, it seemed like the perfect project that we should do every year.
Yeah. Well, for anybody that's listening or watching right now, they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds unbelievable. So it's got to be a few $100s, right?
Well, you would think it's a few $100s. You would think that because if you add up all the prices of the products itself, They're, I think, $3,145 this year. But a few $100s means, I think it would mean that we don't accomplish the goal, is what it would
Right.
mean, because we would limit the number of people who have access to it. Because money's tight for everyone. It doesn't really matter who you are.
Right.
Like, even if you're rich, you got a budget. You're using your money wisely. That's how you got rich. So if it's a few $100s, then we cut out a lot of the people who need the stuff the most.
Right.
And then, more importantly, if it is a few $100s, then you could literally just go buy 2 or 3 of the programs that you need outside of Podcast Crusade. And the problem with that is that you don't end up meeting new people. You just buy the program that you were told about in your Facebook group. So what we wanted to do in the beginning was we wanted to make it free. But free causes its own problem. Free does one thing. It negatively affects the contributors. So it has to be good for everyone, right? So free would mean that anyone in the world that had any interest whatsoever, no matter their intention, we call a freebie seeker, would come and get it. And then their products would just be everywhere by people who really don't even care. There'd be a lot of people who don't care. They end up becoming dead weight on the email list. They become dead weight in the Facebook groups, and that's not good. So what we did in the beginning was, our first year, we made it $27. But what's funny about that is it was too cheap. People thought it was fake. Like, it can't be that cheap. This can't be real. And so we actually had a lot of people that just brushed it aside. And then we settled on $39, which to me, is totally reasonable price. But $39 makes sure that only the podcasters who are actually interested in podcasting get into the Facebook group where you're asking questions. Like, you don't want dead weight in there when you're trying to figure something out. And then it also gives us enough money to pay the affiliates who actually promote it, which means the contributors get more traffic. They get it to grow a bigger audience. So you get $3,145 worth of, retail value of courses, classes, and products for podcasting for $39. And the $39 protects the buyer, because then when they ask questions in the different groups that they're in, they're actually going to be backed up by other people who care just as much. It's not going to be freebie seekers who are asking the most ridiculous questions ever because they really don't care.
Right.
So for us, $39 ended up being the perfect price for Podcaster's Kit.
Yeah, I think that it's such a steal. I mean, I was looking at some of the programs that were in there this year, because I've been telling my audience, I'm like, y'all, even if you've been listening to me for a few years now and all the things that I teach, there are still podcast experts out there who are just so niche in certain topics that I never cover because I'm not an expert in those. I saw one about disclaimers. I saw one about SEO. I dabble in SEO, but you have SEO experts that are in there. So my question to you is, what's the one product or service or membership? Because I've seen there's membership, like a limited time trial of memberships that are in there. What's the one product that you're really excited that you had included in the kit this year?
So, while this is a very easy question for me, I'm also talking to Crystal Prophet, who has a product in the kit. So let's just say this is my second favorite product. How about that? So my second favorite product is called Private Audio. And I've never really thought about it. But Rachel and I have also been trying to figure out another product to sell on Finding Joy. And we've toyed with the idea of a podcast called Ask Rachel. And she actually was hired by Penguin Random House to read her book. So she's the one who does the audiobook. She reads her own book. So if you get her book on audio, it's her. So for me, that was interesting. And then I saw this product about creating private audio products in this year's kit. And I thought to myself, why have I never thought about it? Why don't we create a private audio product that we actually sell our audience. They're already listening to podcasts. They could easily just bring this up on their phone or whatever else it is that they're listening on. And that would give us another avenue for revenue. So for me, the concept of monetizing your podcast with private audio is very interesting. I didn't even know that was going to pop up. I don't normally ask the contributors for a specific product. I just reach out to people who create and teach and train podcasters. And when this one came up, I thought, how interesting is that? Learn how to podcast, but at the same time, you could perfect the craft of the audio, the microphone, the software to create a private audio product, and that becomes a product that you sell in your store, which is different than an ebook. It's like a different concept. It could even be maybe you read your ebook. I'm not exactly sure yet. I haven't taken the course, but I'm very intrigued by the concept of private audio.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's actually one that I hadn't seen. I've scrolled through it several times and I was like looking at ones that really caught my eye. I know there was one about turning your podcast into a book. I know I have a lot
Yeah.
of aspiring authors in my audience. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. I want to dive into that one myself. And then one of my friends, Brittany Binion, I mean, she's a personal brand photographer, but she's also a podcaster. And I know she's offering, here's how to style images for your podcast marketing. Like there's everything in there. So I'm really excited because first of all, I'm grateful. Thank you so much, you and Rachel, for asking me to be a contributor because this is just such a cool opportunity, like you said, for us to get in front of other people that are legit interested in podcasting, not just someone that's looking for another freebie, but they are looking for people to help them in their podcasting journey. So it helps us get that exposure, but also reach the people that are actually interested and not just
Yeah.
everybody on the internet.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we teach from a branding perspective is the concept of being authentic in your business, which you probably didn't know I was going to bring up. But I think a lot of people misuse the term authentic. And I think people think it means like be yourself. But we like to think of it a different way. If you're creating a product or you're creating or you're going to do a contest or you've built yourself an ebook or you're promoting somebody else's product, and that thing that you're promoting isn't, if it's not 100% aligned with what you do, then you're no longer being authentic with your audience. So here's my example. Let's say that this is Podcaster's Kit, which it is. And in order to drum up traffic, I give away a $25 gift card to Amazon. Put your name in here if you're interested, and I'll draw a name for somebody will win an Amazon gift card. Well, what happens is, just like Crystal said, everyone and their uncle decides to go to my site, put their name and email in to be entered into the drawing to win an Amazon gift card, because they could care less about podcasting. They just want to win the gift card. So that means that as a business owner, I end up building an audience, building a list of people who aren't 100% aligned with what we do. So now I've got a Facebook group and nobody's talking, right? Because somebody mentions podcast stuff and most of the people are only there because they had to like it in order to win the gift card. So then all of a sudden Facebook sees that your Facebook account is getting no traction and you become less newsworthy, and now you're not getting any traction in the feed. So for us, it's very important to put a price to filter out anyone who's not truly interested in podcasting. And for Crystal, for the contributors, not only does a person sitting at their computer have to read an email that talks about, hey, Podcaster's Kids this week, and then they have to click it, right? And then, which means they have a passing interest in podcasting. Then they go to the sales page and then they see, there is amazing, right? The array of stuff is amazing. And you could totally get sucked in. Then you go to press the buy button and it says $39. And now the stuff is so amazing that $39 for a person serious about like getting their podcast off the ground or getting better, or monetizing or preaching, then it's a tiny, tiny hurdle. But for the rest of us, it is a huge, fantastic hurdle. It's like saying, hey, thank you for caring enough about what we do to spend your hard-earned money on it, because we can help you better now that it's just you and not all the riffraff. So for us, the price makes it an authentic purchase for us and for the contributors.
Yeah. Well, I love you going back to the win-win-win as well. Like I think that it is. It's just such an all-around really cool program. And I told everybody, like the first time that BC Stack was introduced to me was last year, and I participated, and I was like, okay, I don't really know what this is all about. But then I got an email that said, hey, if you're interested in becoming an affiliate, and I am always interested in learning more about affiliate programs and how they work and the ins and outs of doing them. And so I signed up, and I ended up making 2 sales, which was enough to cover the price of me purchasing BC Stack. And so I got
Well,
really
cool.
tickled, because I was like, awesome. I just like, it cost me $0 to do this. And I
Yeah.
got access to all these incredible people I'd never heard of. And honestly, last year for BC Stack, I purchased simply to get Jennifer Maker. I'm a huge fan of hers.
Oh, nice.
She had a YouTube contribution. It was like a mini course, and it was so awesome, and it was worth the whole thing. Just that one thing, that one product was worth the price of the entire thing. And I feel like with Podcasters Kit, it's the same. I mean, I've looked at Eric Nevins, like he has his Christian Podcaster Association, like he's giving part of the membership. Like I think there's a trial in there. So there's a lot of really awesome, interesting things in Podcasters Kit, even this year, that wasn't there last year. And that's what I'm really excited about. So I've seen a few comments. Yeah, so I'm watching from Nigeria. So very cool, Gabrielle. So happy that you're here. Somebody says, "Is this really live or previously recorded? No shout outs." Well, there you go, Silver Fox. We're giving you a shout out right now. So
It's live.
yes, this is definitely live. Well, for anybody that's interested, I am a proud partner with Podcasters Kit, and you can go to crystalprofit.com/podkit2020 to go to the checkout page and figure out which products you're most excited about. And we would actually love to hear. You can put it in the comments below this video when you come back later, or if you're watching on the replay, tell us the one product that you're really excited about. But is there anything else that someone who is on the fence, they're thinking about doing Podcasters Kit, but they're still trying to decide if it's for them? Because I know I have a lot of people in my audience that are in the content creation stage. Maybe they haven't quite launched their podcast. So what would you say to someone who's just kind of dabbling with the idea of getting started?
All right, that's a good question. So one of the things that we did this year that I haven't done before is the sales page itself is actually arranged in somewhat chronological order, in the order that you would do things as a podcaster. So for instance, you'll see on the left-hand side of a product a title, and I put like starting a podcast idea. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the categories of the products. So if you're dabbling and you're not sure if the product is for you, then I would encourage you to go to the sales page and find the product where you think you are. So if you're at content creation, I would encourage you to go scroll down till you see planning content for a podcast category. And in that, let's make that for yourself your baseline, right? So when you find that spot on the page, then I want you to take note of how much is after that spot that you haven't yet got to. And then I want you to actually scroll back up before that spot and see if you truly are an expert at all the previous stages, like launching, the different stages of podcasting before you get to content creation. And if you find that you're already an expert at everything above, and there just isn't that much below that spot, then maybe it's not for you. Maybe you just need to go buy the one product that you need. But I will tell you that with Podcaster's Kit, you will get that one product for $39 that you normally would have to pay $97. So it still could be a big benefit to you. But otherwise, really think through how can somebody make an entire course around X, which is before wherever you think that you are in the chronological process. How could there be an entire course on this subject? Do you know an entire course worth of knowledge on that subject? Or is it possible that there are 408 different things that you have yet to learn about that if you merely go back a step, your podcast will be 10 times better? So that would be my thought. If you're on the fence, just go look. Where do you think you are chronologically in the creation of a podcast? How much is before and how much is after? And can you really afford to pass up Podcaster's Kit at $39 knowing that almost everything in here is $100 or more by itself?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that's so good. And you just said pass up Podcaster's Kit because it's only available once a year, right?
Yeah, it's only available the first week of October every year. And then we do BC Stack the third week of July. And now we're going to be adding a third product like this in February. And I'm actually actively taking suggestions on that. I was thinking that it might be all about advertising. I was thinking about it. But it also might be entirely about product creation. So I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, Podcaster's Kit is only available through Friday night, midnight, Hawaii time. I usually say Central Standard Time, and then at midnight I let it go an hour or two because I know there are good people in Hawaii that just haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah. Oh gosh, this is so good, guys. So I mean, you've got to at least go check it out and see if Podcaster's Kit is right for you. So again, crystalprofit.com/podkit2020 will take you to the sales page that Dan's talking about. And I totally agree. I think that's a great suggestion of going to the different phase, whether it's planning, launching, a marketing, and even monetizing. I've seen several products in there about monetization and seeing ways that you can take your show to the next level and scale up. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much, Dan, for coming on. I don't see any other questions. So yeah, go ahead.
I got one more thing.
Go ahead.
You mentioned something about going to BC Stack and not recognizing some of the names. And I will tell you this, every single year, this is my actual job. Like if I had a job, this is my job. My job is to scour the earth, to find people teaching the things we need to know far, far, far away from us. The farther away from me, the better. We don't have overlapping audiences. We don't have overlapping ideas. We don't have overlapping niches. Like if you don't recognize the people in the product, like that is 1,000 times better than if you recognize all of the names. Because the names that you probably recognize, like Vaynerchuk or Smart Money, Passive Income. Who's that guy? Can't think of his name.
Flynn.
Pat.
Yeah.
So these guys, they have books. Their ideas are out there, and you've already heard them. You don't know that you've heard them, but they've been resuscitated in Facebook groups. People have told, this is what you need to do. These are the things that you need to do. So you've already actually heard a lot of those ideas. So every year, my goal is to get 85% new people each year so that I'm sure that it's new products. And even if it's similar names, it's totally new ideas about how to do that concept. But then there are a few people like Crystal who we ask back every year because it seems to me that the audience is super excited about having them there, and they're totally committed to teaching and learning for that year, to even getting better so that the next year they still know more than they did last year. So they're even a better teacher than they were. But for me, the whole idea of every once in a while I do try to get like a superstar name into one of the products, but in the end, I just don't think it benefits anyone. I mean, there are some people who just want to get Pat Flynn's product and then they buy the kit just so they could get Pat Flynn's product. But I don't really want that. I want to introduce you to ideas you've never heard before. In fact, the other day I had Danny Osmond is in the kit, and I had a call with him. I had some questions about my own podcast, and he's an expert who knows things that I don't know. So I called him, and he told me something that was very interesting about my podcast. Because my podcast is inspired by Paul Harvey. I tell stories. I tell stories you don't know about things you thought you did. So like the first episode of the podcast was, what was the tipping point for Apple computers? Like what was the moment that they went from small company to a giant company? Because you think you know a lot about Apple, but this is something you probably don't know. So I tell stories like that. And my podcasts are 22 minutes long each, every single one. Sometimes they're 23. I just can't do anything about it. And he said, this is just something he said off the cuff. He said, from my experience, if you have a short podcast and you don't put it out, like I put mine out once a month. He said, if you don't put it out like once a week, the podcasters will have binge listened to all your stuff. And to be polite, they will unsubscribe because they're not going to listen again until, you get, for me, it would be like 4 months, right? To get 4 more episodes to binge it up, put together. They said they're just going to wait. They're going to unsubscribe and then maybe come back later. And then when you have a bunch of new episodes, they'll binge them again. And it was this tiny little insight about podcasters that Danny Osmond has gleaned from his time in the industry that just made me think, there's so much to know about podcasting that if you could only talk to all the people you've never heard of, you could learn a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I like that too. It's just the fresh perspective,
Yeah.
even if you've been doing it, because what you said, y'all originally started, when did you and Rachel start your podcast? What year was that?
I'm going to say we went from 14 to 17 or 15 to 18. Yeah. And we did that once a week.
I mean, and just in the last 6 months, things have changed incredibly. Yeah. I mean, and so I love the idea of having Podcasters Kit available at least once a year to go in there and be like, what's new? Like, because I mean, there's just so many things that are exploding and expanding all the time that I'm excited about it. I think that y'all have some amazing contributors, some awesome topics that you're covering. Excuse me. And I'm really excited for my audience to check it out because it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually offering a live masterclass I've never taught in my community before. It's exclusive to Podcasters Kit because I wanted people to get as excited about it as I am because I'm doing 1 year of podcast content in 1 hour. Podcasters tell me all the time they struggle to come up with content. So I said, all right, well, we're not going to have that excuse anymore. We're stripping that away and we're just taking out and say, I'm going to give you all of your 2021 content in 1 hour. So I'm really excited about that.
And we're actually giving a lifetime subscription to Podcast Magazine, which I'm a director of, a category director. So you shouldn't run out of ideas. There are plenty just reading Podcasters Magazine will give you ideas.
Yes, that's so awesome. And that's been around. Has that been around for a year yet? I couldn't remember when they first published.
Yes, next month is a year.
Next month is a year. So Podcast Magazine, y'all have to. That alone to me is also worth Podcasters Kit because it's so awesome. The different articles, the different, like you said, the different pieces of podcasting that's covered. And I've heard a lot of people tell me that they found new shows that they'd never heard of mentioned in Podcast Magazine and they went and checked it out and it's their new favorite shows. So that's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I will pass that on.
Yes, for sure. Tell the higher ups all the things because it's definitely making its way. Well, thank you so much. Oh, go ahead.
We appreciate you even having this on your show. Just the idea, bringing this to your audience is we're very thankful. And I know the other contributors are thankful. And I just hope that I'll just promise you that if you buy a Podcasters Kit, we will not let you down. Like we'll take care of you. We'll make sure that you get everything that you need. If you need help, we'll point you to the right person. Like you're joining a good community, and we just appreciate Crystal helping spread the word.
Well, thank you so much, Dan. Thank you. Tell Rachel that we appreciate her as well. I know she's behind the scenes doing some crazy work right now while y'all
Yes,
are
she is.
launching right now. So I can just imagine. So I won't take up any more of your time, but thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, yes. It was good chatting with you.
All right. Bye, Dan. Oh my gosh. So this was so much fun. Thank y'all so much for being here today. If you are interested in learning more about Podcasters Kit, like we said, it's only available until October 9th at midnight Hawaii time, according to Dan. So I want you to go check it out. crystalprofit.com/podkit2020. And if you have any other questions, make sure you post them below this video. And I can't wait to hear what y'all think about the brand new masterclass that I'm teaching, because it's going to be a lot of fun. It will be live. So if you buy Podcasters Kit, make sure that you go register and you'll have all the information, all the details that you need, but you can always reach out if you have questions. And that's all I have for you today, guys. So have a fantastic week and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.